Welcome back to Recom Movie. As you may know, the highly anticipated One Piece live-action series has finally premiered on the Netflix platform. I'm sure film enthusiasts in general, as well as anime fans, especially One Piece fans, are now enjoying an incredible viewing experience with these 8 epic and visually stunning episodes of One Piece. To keep the excitement for the series alive, today, Recom Movie will provide a comprehensive summary of all the developments that have taken place in the 8 episodes of the One Piece live-action series. Spoiler alert for those who haven't watched this amazing series yet. Let's dive right in. "22 years ago in the city of Logtown, the Marines officially captured the most notorious pirate, Gold Roger, and the man hailed as the Pirate King. He was brought to the public execution grounds before the entire world. However, at the moment of his execution, many people questioned the whereabouts of Roger's treasure, specifically the legendary treasure One Piece, and didn't let people remain curious for too long. Roger boldly declared that One Piece and all his treasure had been left out at sea. Thus, the Pirate King was officially executed. But it was Roger's statement that opened a new era, where everyone set sail to the seas in search of the fabled One Piece treasure. 12 years later, in the Windmill Village, the routine continued as every month the red-haired pirates, led by Captain Shanks, returned to replenish their supplies and rest for their upcoming journey. There, a young boy who admired and idolized Shanks' crew as his role models, Monkey D. Luffy, often watched their visits closely. After being repeatedly rejected for joining the crew, Luffy became frustrated and, in a fit of anger, he snuck into Shanks' treasure hold to steal an item. To his surprise, he discovered a treasure chest containing a peculiar fruit. Without hesitation, Luffy consumed all of its fruit without knowing it was a devil fruit. Specifically, it was the Gomu Gomu no Mi, which would grant Luffy a rubbery body but take away his ability to swim. Around the same time, Shanks' crew was confronted by a group of troublemaking pirates outside. These pirates disrespected Shanks in front of everyone, including Luffy, who was infuriated and looked down on the disrespectful intruders. Things took a turn when Luffy received a warning signal that Shanks' crew was about to venture into the Grand Line and wouldn't return to the Windmill Village. Fueled by anger and disappointment, Luffy confronted the pirates from the previous day and engaged in a brawl. However, things escalated quickly and Luffy found himself in a perilous situation. Just as he was about to be overwhelmed, a sea monster attacked, endangering his life. Shanks arrived just in time to rescue Luffy, but lost his arm in the process. Despite his fury, Shanks managed to drive the sea monster away. Shanks' sacrifice taught Luffy a valuable lesson, and the incident left a deep impact on him. 1 year later, in the far reaches of the East Blue Sea, an orbit passenger ship was attacked by the pirate Zeph. Amidst the chaos, Zeph encountered a young boy working as a cook, Sanji, and the two engaged in a heated argument over the food being prepared in the kitchen. Suddenly, a storm struck, and both their ships were engulfed. The next morning, Zeph and Sanji found themselves stranded on a rocky outcrop, with 2 bags of provisions they had managed to salvage. Each had to go in separate directions to search for a rescue ship. Despite their efforts, after 70 days, the food in Sanji's bag ran out, leaving him no choice but to seek Zeph's bag for more. However, upon reaching Zeph, Sanji discovered that Zeph hadn't been holding on to any food in his bag. It was filled with treasure instead. To survive for over 2 months in the open sea, Zeph had resorted to eating his own right leg. Zeph's reason for sacrificing his leg was to pass on the dream of finding the All Blue, a place where all 4 seas converged, teeming with every type of fish imaginable, to Sanji. Subsequently, a rescue ship appeared, and both of them were saved from their dire situation. 2 years later, in Shimotsuki Village, Roronoa Zoro, a young and ambitious swordsman, was continuously defeated by his rival, Kina, the daughter of their master. In order to regain his honor, Zoro challenged Quina to a real sword fight, and as expected, Zoro lost even when using 2 swords. However, this defeat did not discourage him. Zoro and Quina made a promise that one of them would become the world's greatest swordsman. Unfortunately, Quina passed away shortly after due to an accident, leaving their promise unfulfilled. To honor her memory, Zoro asked his master for permission to inherit Quina's sword, the Wado Ichimonji, and set out on a journey to become the world's greatest swordsman. Meanwhile, in Syrup Village, a crew member of the red-haired pirates left behind his wife and children to sail the seas. He stayed in the village alone to take care of his seriously ill mother. However, Usopp, the storyteller, continuously irritated the villagers by telling lies that pirates were approaching. The truth behind these lies was that Usopp hoped that one day his father would return on a real pirate ship. 7 years prior, at Oikot Kingdom, a marine unit managed to capture a pirate crew, but not without suffering significant casualties. In the midst of defeat, Belmer found 2 orphaned children, Nami and Nojiko, amidst the wreckage. Belmer adopted the 2 orphaned children, and they lived together on Konomi Island. However, their peaceful life was shattered when the Arlong pirates arrived on Kokoyasi Island, capturing the island's residents and extorting monthly payments from them. Belmer, with her last bit of money, could only pay for Nami and Nojiko. Arlong demanded the rest of the money and, in a tragic turn of events, killed Belmer in front of her 2 daughters. Witnessing their mother's murder and the invasion of Kokoyasi village, Nami decided to use her innate talent for cartography and navigation. She offered to work for Arlong's pirate crew in exchange for earning 100 million berries to buy the freedom of her village and fulfill her promise to her mother. Fast forwarding to the current time, Luffy has grown up and set sail with his own ship. However, he encounters trouble when his ship encounters a massive whirlpool, forcing him to float on a lucky barrel. Fortunately, Avida, a pirate, rescues Luffy. Luffy soon learns that Avida had imprisoned Kobe, who was serving on the pirate ship. Contrary to Kobe's reluctance, Luffy quickly devises a plan to escape from the toxic pirate ship. Using his rubbery devil fruit powers, Luffy easily defeats Avida, and together with Kobe, they leave the pirate ship. In order to continue their journey, Luffy needs a map to the Grand Line. The nearest map is held at Marine Base 153 in Shell's Town. There, Luffy and Kobe meet Zoro, who has just defeated several unruly Marines in a bar. Luffy is eager to recruit this pirate hunter into his crew. After Zoro's victorious battle, he heads straight to the Marine Base to claim his bounty, and he discovers that among the Marines in the bar was Helmeppo, the son of Captain Morgan. Morgan is in charge of the base and forces Zoro to endure a public punishment for 7 days as retribution. If Zoro refuses, he will never be able to claim bounties at any other Marine base. Luffy, determined to help Zoro, infiltrates the base through an underground passage and encounters Zoro. Luffy removes Zoro's restraints and proposes that he joins his pirate crew. However, Zoro is hesitant at first. After untying Zoro, Luffy continues to infiltrate the base and encounters Nami. The two manage to outsmart Morgan and infiltrate his office to locate the map to the Grand Line. As for Zoro, he finds Helmeppo's room, where he retrieves his swords and even gives Helmeppo a haircut. The 3 eventually meet in the middle of the base's courtyard after Luffy and Nami's attempt to unlock the treasure chest containing the map fails. Despite their recent acquaintance, the 3 quickly form a bond and work together to defeat all the Marines, including Captain Morgan himself. The news of a Straw Hat pirate causing chaos had reached the ears of Vice Admiral Garp, prompting him to set out in pursuit. At the same time, Buggy the Clown, a notorious pirate with a bounty of 15 million berries, learned that someone had stolen his treasure map. After discovering that the trio from the Straw Hat Pirates had been brought to a circus, Buggy's pirate crew attacked them with sleeping gas while they were out at sea. Luckily, Luffy managed to swallow the treasure map just in time before falling unconscious. Upon waking up, they found themselves in a circus and face-to-face with Buggy. Luffy was separated from Zoro and Nami and subjected to torture by Buggy, who wanted to force Luffy to reveal the map's location due to a personal grudge against Shanks. Meanwhile, Zoro and Nami were kept captive by Buggy's subordinate Kabaji. However, the 2 of them managed to escape and defeat Kabaji. Back in the circus, Buggy's abilities were revealed. He had consumed the Barabara no Mi devil fruit, which granted him the incredible power to split his body into parts. To defeat Buggy, the trio had to use treasure chests to contain each part of his body. With Buggy reduced to just a small portion of himself, Luffy quickly defeated him. The 3 of them then freed the townsfolk who had been captured by Buggy's pirate crew to serve as spectators at the circus. They continued on their journey. Meanwhile, Vice Admiral Garp arrived at Morgan's Marine base and reprimanded him for failing to fulfill his duty. Garp suspected Kobe, a new recruit, of having some connection to Luffy and interrogated him. Kobe, being honest, revealed everything. But Garp decided to spare him due to his sincerity and continued his pursuit of Luffy and his companions. After setting sail, Luffy realized that his new pirate crew needed a better ship. The three of them decided to dock in the village of Syrup to find a new ship. While there, Luffy accidentally fell in love with a sheep-headed ship. They also encountered Usopp. Usopp then led them to meet Kaya, the owner of the shipyard, to inquire about purchasing a new ship. It happened to be Kaya's birthday, and Usopp's uninvited guests irritated Klahadore, Kaya's butler. However, Kaya intervened on their behalf, and the group was allowed to stay the night. Little did they know that Klahadore was actually Captain Kuro, a notorious pirate in the East Blue with a bounty of 16 million berries. On Kaya's birthday, as she inherited the shipyard, Kuro killed the financial manager, Mary, in order to take control of the shipyard, using Kaya's trust in him. Kuro's plan was to kill Kaya and inherit her wealth. Usopp and Zoro later discovered Kuro's true identity, but Zoro was rendered unconscious due to carelessness. Usopp managed to escape but couldn't get any help. Luffy, having eaten food laced with Kuro's sleeping medicine, fell unconscious. At the same time, Garp's ship arrived in the village. Kobe and Helmeppo were dispatched to patrol the village. They met Usopp and were led to Kaya. However, except for Luffy, who was still asleep, the Marines couldn't find any other leads. Nami, Usopp, and Kaya had to fend for themselves inside a locked house. After escaping from the well, Zoro got lost and encountered Luffy. Together, they explained the situation to Kobe, and they decided to return and rescue Kaya. Another battle erupted within the mansion. Zoro single-handedly defeated two of Kuro's subordinates and successfully defeated Django, Black Cat Pirate's helmsman, despite Django's superior speed. However, he was defeated by Luffy. After this incident, Kaya decided to gift Luffy the Going Merry ship and bid farewell to Usopp with a kiss as he joined Luffy's group. However, shortly after setting sail, the Straw Hat Pirates were intercepted by Garp's marine ship. It was then revealed that Garp is Luffy's grandfather. Despite a fierce attack from the marine ship, Luffy managed to deflect a cannonball, damaging the ship's mast. This prevented them from pursuing further. All four of them then reached the Bharati, a floating restaurant owned by Zeph and Sanji, to rest and eat. Despite lacking money, Luffy boasted about his appetite, leading to Zeph forcing him to work in the kitchen to repay the debt. Sanji was also consistently dissatisfied with Zeph's cooking. Regarding Garp, since he couldn't capture Luffy due to the damaged ship, he contacted another individual, Mihawk, who holds the title of one of the 7 warlords of the sea, a powerful group of pirates working under the world government. When they reached Bharati, they encountered Zoro, and he immediately challenged them to a fight. Despite Nami and Usopp's efforts to intervene, Zoro remained determined to engage in the battle, much to Luffy's delight. The next morning, the decisive battle between Zoro and Mihawk took place. It was a one-sided battle, and Zoro was nearly killed, saved only by Mihawk's mercy. Luffy noticed his potential and decided to disobey Garp's orders to continue his journey. Zoro also fell unconscious and was saved by Zeph and Sanji. Meanwhile, at Bharati, Arlong and his crew, following Buggy's information, arrived to confront Luffy. Luffy revealed himself to face Arlong, but the fishman overpowered him due to Luffy's weakness in water. Inside the restaurant, upon witnessing Arlong's subordinate Karubi break Zeph's wooden leg, Sanji became furious and fought but was overpowered. To save Luffy, Nami revealed that she was a member of Arlong's pirate crew and convinced Arlong to leave. Arlong then threw Luffy into the sea, but Sanji managed to rescue him just in time. Zoro woke up and they decided to find Nami to make her reveal the truth. Sanji also bid farewell to Zeph and set sail with them. To locate Nami, the Straw Hat Pirates had to follow Buggy's head's directions. The Marines arrived at the Bharati, a floating restaurant on the sea, to inquire about the Straw Hat Pirates. On Nami's side of the story, she finally acquired the 100 million berries required to buy the freedom of Kokoyashi village. However, Arlong played dirty by contacting a corrupt Marine responsible for concealing Arlong's crimes. This Marine seized all of Nami's earnings, leaving her no choice but to seek help from Luffy. Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji eagerly awaited an opportunity to help her confront Arlong. Not only the Straw Hat Pirates, but also the entire Kokoyasi village had decided to rise up against Arlong when they learned of Nami's sacrifices and her subsequent betrayal by Arlong. Nami, however, didn't want her fellow villagers to sacrifice themselves, so only the Straw Hat Pirates ventured to Arlong Park located underwater. Zoro, Sanji, and Usopp successively defeated all of Arlong's fishmen's subordinates. Luffy confronted Arlong after helping Nami recover the map of the Grand Line. During their fight, Luffy realized that Nami's room symbolized her unrewarded efforts, prompting him to take down Arlong once and for all. Luffy defeated Arlong and demolished Arlong Park. The first season of One Piece concluded with a scene of a Marine, recognizable by his cigar brand, admiring Luffy's wanted poster. This marked a promise of things to come in Logtown, where Smoker would officially make his appearance to hunt down Luffy and his crew. And that's all that happened in the first season of One Piece's live-action adaptation on Netflix. Don't forget that we still have a date with an actor's version of an Easter egg, with both the manga and anime references. So we'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching this entire video. For now, goodbye, and see you again.